Two big updates. President Trump just threatened to freeze SNAP benefits unless Democrat states hand over the data. This has led to a stunning lawsuit. Also, the president just pardoned Henry Cuellar, a Texas Democrat congressman, and even Jeffries had to agree. If you guys are getting value throughout this video, make sure you like this video, share this video, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe.
Let's put up on the screen the number of pardons that the last 5 presidencies have seen, okay? George W. Bush, 189. Obama, 212 over the course of 2 terms. 144 pardons in President Trump's first term. Joe Biden, 80 pardons. I would note that the Hunter Biden pardon was an exceptional case that maybe deserves, more than one entry on that list, but there you have it. This time, President Trump, 1,500 pardons. Has he possibly had enough time in the day to look long and hard at each 1,500?
I think we can all agree that 1 month in a Trump presidency is like 1 year in a normal presidency.
Well, his last presidency was more normal, 144 pardons.
Yes, but this president is moving at such a speed that 1,500 doesn't sound that.
Come on.
Okay, this is the type of story that continues to prove that mainstream media is still suffering from a great deal of Trump derangement syndrome. They refuse to look at the merits of this pardon and why it was necessary to do so. And overall, it continues to show the manipulation occurring, which brings us to Ground News. If we look up this story on Ground News, in case you guys don't know what it is by now, this is the perfect tool that you can use to see what both sides are saying about the stories being reported by mainstream media or stories that are underreported. And every time you look up a story, it gives you the bottom line up front using these bullet points. Prosecutors allege Cuellar, 69, and his wife accepted thousands of dollars to advance an Azerbaijan-controlled energy company and a bank in Mexico, and Cuellar agreed to influence legislation and deliver a pro-Azerbaijan speech on the U.S. House floor. Cuellar has maintained he and his wife are innocent, while President Trump linked the pardon to a weaponized justice system and a partisan witch hunt. Now, of course, we'll go over the facts to show that to you. But before we do, I want you to hear from what the president had to say in the Oval Office today when they asked him about this pardon. Take a look.
Did you speak with House Republican leadership about your decision to pardon Congressman Henry Cuellar? And are you concerned that you made a vulnerable Democrat perhaps less vulnerable with that decision?
It didn't matter. He's a respected person. He was treated very badly because he said that people should not be allowed to pour into our country. And he was right. He didn't like open borders. He was on the border. He represents a very respected man. He represents the people on the border. And he saw what was happening. And as soon as he made that statement, I then said, I'll bet he gets indicted. And that's what happened. I put out my truth from that. Well, I did a truth, wonderful truth. We love truth. But what happened is he got indicted for speaking the truth. And his wife got indicted, Imelda. And that's sort of a first. Usually they leave the wives alone, right? Don't they, Congressman? Yeah. Typically they indict somebody, put him in jail for the rest of his life, but the wife can just sit home and cry, or she'll find a new man. A lot of times they find a new man that makes them much happier. In fact, a lot of times they like that man better than the one that's in jail.
And that's why people love the president, because, he just can't help it but make you laugh. Okay. Going back to Ground News in regards to this story. Now, the interesting thing is if you use Ground News to look at the angles regarding this story, you could see it. So Ground News will pull in all the articles and organize them by political spectrum. So if we look at the articles that lean left, the angle is President Trump is flying off the handle. Okay. He is issuing pardons. He's abusing the pardon power. Okay. And they are all refusing to acknowledge what the merits of the case really is. And if we look at articles that lean right, look at this. Jeffries gives rare praise of President Trump pardoning Cuellar. I'm going to show you what Hakeem Jeffries had to say. But guys, you can use this tool like Ground News to stay in the know, stay ahead of the propaganda, do your research, see what both sides are saying, and identify the bias in the reporting. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you can download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
Issue that just has emerged within the last several minutes, Leader Jeffries. President Trump has announced a pardon of the Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife, who were charged with bribery. What's your response?
Well, Congressman Cuellar is a beloved member of the House of Representatives, loved in his community, particularly in Laredo. I've had the opportunity to spend time with him down in Laredo in South Texas. I look forward to that moving forward. Listen, the reality is this indictment was very thin to begin with, in my view. The charges were eventually going to be dismissed, if not at the trial court level by the Supreme Court, as they've repeatedly done in instances just like this.
So just to follow up on that, do you agree with the president's pardon here? Do you think that that was a good thing then?
I don't know why the president decided to do this. I think the outcome was exactly the right outcome.
Well, Congressman Cuellar, we should note, is one of a handful of House Democrats who sits in a district President Trump won in 2024. So now he has this presidential pardon. Have you had any conversations with the congressman about him potentially switching to the Republican Party?
I think Congressman Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus, and I expect that he'll continue to remain a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
Okay, I want to make sure you guys are catching on to this. Henry Cuellar is a Democrat, okay? He was in Congress, House of Representatives, prosecuted by the Biden administration. The fact that the president gave him a pardon, I think, tells you there's some problems with his entire case. Now, Hakeem Jeffries is coming out and supporting the president on this decision. I think that tells a story. But hey, according to CNN, particularly Lulu Garcia, she doesn't buy any of that. She believes the president is abusing his pardon power, which in a sense is actually impossible because the power is absolute and cannot be questioned or reviewed. But who am I, right? Here's what she said.
Listen, he is abusing the presidential pardon. Let's not even look at Cuellar, and let's just look at the former president of Honduras, who was drug trafficking to this country.
Would the president ever do anything like this without expecting something in return?
Absolutely not. He is the fairy godmother of pardons, and he does this out of the warmth of his own heart. He sees a Democrat like Representative Cuellar, and he just wants to help. Casey? No, of course he wants something in return. We just don't know what it is.
Now, as Lulu Garcia is speaking, Elliot Williams, who's a contributor of CNN, says it right there on the screen. Once more, those in the back, the issue isn't Donald Trump. The issue is the pardon power. The framers left presidents this vast, unchecked power. Of course, they're going to use it. Listen, we're talking about a former president, okay? Let's not forget, let's go down memory lane here, who pardoned his entire family, okay? His family. When the president even considered that the first time around, meaning Donald Trump, people were losing their minds, okay? Biden actually went through with it. And let's not mention the amount of people he commuted their sentences in the final weeks, et cetera, and also the J6 committee. So, when people are out here criticizing the president, they better tell the full story here, that every single president in history has this absolute power. It won't change unless you want to rip up the Constitution, which I know they're not going to do. So wasting your time complaining about it is really, you're getting nowhere, essentially. Now, why don't we hear from the man who got the pardon himself? Here's what he had to say.
Well, I want to thank President Trump for this action that he took. On behalf of my wife and my family, I want to say thank you. I think the facts have been very clear about this, but I would also say I want to thank God for standing during this very difficult time with my family and I. Now we can get back to work. Nothing has changed. We will continue working hard. In fact, right now I got another congressman where we're working on some legislation, but I just want to, for now, that is my statement.
So why don't you guys answer this in the comment section? Why do you believe the president pardoned him? Okay, do you believe there was a deal that was made between Henry and the president? Or do you believe it maybe has something to do with Henry's associates? Maybe people that are mutually friends, that they both know Henry and the president. Who knows? Or do you absolutely believe what the president said, which is that Joe Biden weaponized the justice system, and that's just what it is, okay? Now, why don't we go to Speaker Johnson and his thoughts? Take a look.
Does the Cuellar pardon make it harder for you to win the majority next year? Does the Cuellar pardon make it harder for you?
No, that has no effect on us at all. That's a very competitive district, and we'll have a strong candidate in that district and we'll win it because we have a great record to run on and we're recruiting all-stars to flip some of these blue seats to red. We're really excited.
Okay, let's head to our next update, and this is regarding SNAP benefits. According to MSDNC, the president is on the warpath. He's attacking the SNAP program because of implementing new requirements. Understand something. These requirements that Brooke Rollins is talking about, it's rooted in common sense. We'll get to that, but let's first hear the meltdown. Take a look.
Another threat to the SNAP food assistance program. The Trump administration now saying it will withhold funds from Americans in 21 Democratic-led states that have refused to turn over recipient data. MS Now's Laura Barone-Lopez is following this story for us from D.C. Laura, how are Democratic leaders reacting to this?
Well, Democratic leaders are pushing back in those states. It would affect more than 20 Democratic states if the Agriculture Secretary moves forward with this, as she threatened yesterday during the president's cabinet meeting. And so just to give you an example of the reaction, Chris, one of them from Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey calling this threat truly appalling and cruel, saying that the Trump administration is once again playing politics with the ability of working parents with children, seniors, and people with disabilities to get food. And the governor calling on President Trump to tell the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, to step back from this threat. Now,
so let's take a look at ground news to tell us exactly what the facts are right up front here. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture requested all 50 states to provide SNAP data, with Brooke Rollins saying 29 red states complied, but 21 blue states refused. So do you see the manipulation right there? According to MSDNC, this is only targeting blue states. Yeah, it's because you guys don't want to follow the federal law. Secondly, about 42 million SNAP recipients rely on benefits, averaging about $190 per person. I think we've already talked about that so many times. Democratic states quickly sued to block this requirement. Courts traded rulings on benefit cuts during the shutdown, and some states funded benefits themselves while boosting food banks. This year, the SNAP program has drawn unusual attention, with work requirements expanding to include people ages 55 to 64, and the recipient records predating recent shutdown headlines, meaning the federal government should have access to the data within SNAP because it's federal funds that is funding the money for this program. I'm not sure why they're trying to fight this. It just doesn't make any sense. Now let's hear from Brooke Rollins herself. Take a look.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke Rollins. This week, we are seeing real action to restore fairness, accountability, and common sense to our food assistance programs. President Trump's vision to restore common sense reforms to SNAP, or food stamps, is moving to its implementation phase. The One Big Beautiful Bill enacted revised work requirements for able-bodied adults between 18 and 64 who receive SNAP, meaning they will be required to work, to volunteer, to train, or even to study at least 80 hours a month to qualify for benefits as a floor. That's 20 hours a week and 4 hours every work day. This is about restoring dignity and responsibility. We're ending a system where some were taking advantage while honest, hardworking Americans foot the bill. As I have pointed out, the data shows clear misuse, deceased individuals still receiving checks, people collecting benefits in multiple states, and so much more. This is unacceptable. And while we're talking about that, to the 21 states who have yet to send us their data, what is it that you are hiding? Let's partner together to defend the taxpayer and make sure that those who are most vulnerable among us are receiving the benefits.
The question, what is the data that is being requested? Well, according to the USDA, they want individual level SNAP records going back several years, including names, addresses, social security numbers, benefit amounts, and immigration status. Democrats and privacy advocates describe this as an unprecedented demand that goes far beyond normal program reporting and quality control audits. Also, Republican officials and USDA leadership framed the request as necessary to build a centralized database to root out fraud, duplicate participation across states, and ineligible non-citizen use. Now, guys, do we really have to explain why they should be coughing up this data? I mean, the IRS has this data. Why won't SNAP provide this data? It's interesting, right?
Now, again, this could impact some 20 million beneficiaries, and it comes because earlier this year, the Trump administration, Brooke Rollins, was requesting data on SNAP beneficiaries, very private data like their birth dates, their social security numbers, their addresses, as well as their immigration statuses. And Secretary Rollins claims that this is to root out fraud. But those Democratic governors in that coalition of states saying that they were not going to hand over this data, Chris. So it could come next week that these SNAP benefits are cut off to those millions of Americans.
Now, here's the brutal truth to it all. What the president is looking to achieve, he might not necessarily be successful with the SNAP benefits program because of the language surrounding this entire program to begin with. SNAP benefits is mandatory by law. Did you hear what I said? Mandatory. And the other language says that they're not allowed, that is the USDA, to cut off funding, okay, because it's mandatory. And they're not allowed to access individual level data. The states are allowed to do that. So the president has a problem on his hands, and it goes back to the root cause of it all, Congress. They are the ones who wrote the law. So it begs the question, will Republicans introduce a bill to back up what the president is doing here? Something tells me the answer is no. So having said that, let's get your guys' comments below, your opinion about this matter. One, do you agree with the president pardoning Henry Cuellar, who is a Democrat out of Texas? You saw Jeffries agree with it. Luli Garcia claims that the president is abusing his pardon power. He's up to 1,600 so far. 1,500 of those pardons came from January 6th. So I guess there's kind of two questions. One, do you agree with his pardon? And overall, what do you make of his pardon so far? Secondly, SNAP benefits program. Do you believe these states should be required to hand over individual level data, names, addresses, social security numbers, and citizenship status to the Trump administration? I think we all know why that needs to happen, but let me know if you guys agree with it. Just give me all your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. Now let's go to our next story. Ilhan Omar is suffering humiliation because the president went after her during his Oval Office meeting today. Not only did he call her out, but he said she should be thrown out of this country. He also made some time to confirm airstrikes that could be on land in the country of Venezuela. You guys missed out on those updates? All you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.